This week on the Away End podcast, we look back at events from Tynecastle that shaped Scottish football. We look ahead to the weekend's fixtures as the Old Firm battle it out for the SPL title, and we look at the career of Paul Hartley as he retires this week from Aberdeen. I'm Alan Potts, joined this week by the returning Andrew Devlin and Stephen Temlett. Let's look then at the game at Tynecastle this week. Shameful scenes from on and off the park as a fan attacks Celtic manager Neil Lennon. Andy, what was your take first of all on the fans?
Well, the fan attacking Neil Lennon?
Yeah.
Scandalous, isn't it? I mean, it's undefendable. I actually watched the game on the television, and after Celtic scored the second goal, the camera moved to Neil Lennon. You could see he was visibly shaking, and it showed what happened. You're just stunned by it. You know, the guy's not safe inside the football ground, he's not safe outside the football ground. And if Neil Lennon decides to chuck it at the end of the season, there's no one could hold that against him. It's just absolutely incredible what's happened to the guy.
Stephen, the guy is, as Andy said, the only place he was safe was actually sitting in the football ground, and even now there's morons getting onto the trackside and trying to get him.
It beggars belief, it really does. I can't believe that it's got to this stage in the game where Neil Lennon can't even stand in the dugout and feel safe. He's surrounded by police anyway now, after what's been going on the last couple of weeks or months. I just don't know what's going to take for any of this to stop. I don't blame him if he walks away, but I want to see him defy these morons. Yeah. Just stay.
Andy, the only thing why has nobody stopped this guy? How has he managed to get over? Hearts and Celtic had a meeting in the police were called in, extra stewards were called in, but somehow this guy manages to over the touchline onto Neil Lennon and do it. Alright, lucky he's actually slipped, because if he hadn't slipped, he's going to catch Neil Lennon.
It's even more lucky he didn't have something more sinister in his hands. If he had a knife or something like that, you know, Neil Lennon could have been in real trouble, and then we're looking at a more serious issue. Hearts have to look into the security around the ground. He got there far too easy. I mean, he's got to run a good 10-15 yards to get to Neil Lennon in the first instance, so I think that the security has to be looked at there. The stewards react far too slow, and there wasn't enough policing around the side of the park, enabling this guy to jump over the boardings and run towards the Celtic dugout. So Hearts will be rightly fined, I think, by the SFA for this, and it should encourage them to act, and I think a lot more teams in the SPL next season, if Neil Lennon decides to stay, will increase the security around the ground.
Yeah, Stephen, this is the thing that they are going to increase. They've got to increase the security around managers, because if you got to Neil Lennon that easily, I mean, it's quite easy to get to any other boss that you want.
Exactly. I hope it doesn't start a trend really against Neil Lennon or any other manager. But the other thing I would have to ask is there not one Hearts fan there?
If they came through that unscathed, the title was theirs, and the pressure was on Celtic to at least take it to the last day and put a little bit of doubt in Rangers' mind, because they've got to go away to Kilmarnock on Sunday, and traditionally it's not a difficult place for Rangers. They haven't lost there since the ground was restructured in 1994, so they'll fancy their chances. But Celtic played very well on Wednesday night. Gary Hooper with 2 fantastic goals, and Chris Commons stupidly gets himself red carded after what was another fantastic finish from him.
Yeah, Stephen, Chris Commons has been a fantastic signing for Celtic, as Gary Hooper, and it just shows, doesn't it, how crucial these two guys are, that they get the goals that see Celtic over the line at Tynecastle.
I think Chris Commons has been one of Celtic's best players this year. I think he's been outstanding for them, especially in the Old Firms. He's broken Chris Boyd's Old Firm record already.
It's not a difficult thing to do.
No, I know. I think I could probably take it close if I was given a shot. But I think Gary Hooper as well has been crucial. I've heard there's been some Celtic fans that have criticised him recently for just going off the boil, and I think it's probably a bit unjustified. He's been consistent most of the season.
The thing is, Andy, he's in a difficult situation, Gary Hooper. He's came from Scunthorpe, where it's one of these lower division clubs where, yeah, he's expected to be the main goal threat, but he doesn't score every game. It's not really a big issue. But up here, he's got to be doing it every day. I mean, it's a lot more pressure playing for the Old Firm than it is for Scunthorpe.
That's the thing. That's why a lot of players can't handle the pressure playing for Celtic and Rangers, yet go on to be successful elsewhere. Gary Hooper last year at the Championship, as you rightly say, at Scunthorpe, he scored more goals than Andy Carroll did in that division, and Andy Carroll, look how much he went for during the January transfer window. So the guy's got talent, and he's done very well in his first year up in Scotland. And I actually agree. I think that he's been a little bit patchy since the cup game against Rangers at Ibrox when Bugera ran his studs out in the back of his leg. I think he looked shaky after that. But those 2 goals on Wednesday night should hopefully give him the confidence going into Sunday and also for the cup final.
Yeah, he's a crucial player. And Stephen, the only worry for Neil Lennon is he's been picked in the provisional squad for England's under-21s championships this summer, so he could be looking to be playing all through the summer as well for England, and then he's straight back into potentially Champions League or European Europa League.
Yeah. I think he's got to make sure that there's no injuries there. You've got to start preparing for the season now, because it's coming up sooner than you think. It's only going to be like 8 weeks away, I think, the start of the next season.
Andy, will this be a worry for Neil Lennon?
I think on one hand it'll give Gary Hooper experience of playing with better quality players.
Let's look then at the weekend fixtures. We have Saturday, it's the bottom 6 playing out the rest of the SPL season. Hamilton, Inverness, Hibernian, Aberdeen, and the day that will celebrate the life of Eddie Turnbull, who sadly passed away last week. St Mirren and St Johnstone all 3 o'clock. Sunday we then look at Celtic, Motherwell, Dundee United and Hearts, and Kilmarnock and Rangers. Andy, there's only really 2 games to be talking about this weekend, because everything else is pretty much done.
Everything's settled. The only other issue is St Mirren could catch Aberdeen, but really it's only one place to look at, and it's at Celtic Park and Rugby Park on Sunday. The title decider, Helicopter Sunday as it's been dubbed again, and it should be very exciting this weekend.
Stephen, it's looking at the players, it's going to be who's got the bottle, so it should be a nervy afternoon.
Yeah, I think it will be a very nervy afternoon until the first goal goes in. If there is a first goal for Rangers at Rugby Park, that will settle the nerves quite considerably. Also, Rangers have got a bit more experience with Helicopter Sunday. Some of the players have been through this before, but law of averages, one of these times it's going to be a Helicopter Sunday and it won't go right for Rangers.
Yeah, Andy, the thing is, if Rangers do get an early goal, memories will be cast back to when Chris Sutton popped in the winner in the first 5 minutes at Fir Park, and everybody thought the season was over, and then Scott McDonald's turned up with 2 late goals and snatched the title away from them. So 1 goal doesn't really mean a lot. It need 2 or 3, won't it?
I would think so. I think Rangers, the pressure's on them a bit more than Celtic. Celtic can just go with Scott Brown and Keith Young in the middle. Both are capable on their day, but they're not as consistent as the performances that Lively and KL have put in over the course of the season, and they will be missed on Sunday and in the cup final. Commons will be a huge loss to Celtic on Sunday, but I still think Celtic will have enough in their tank to see off Motherwell, who I think will rest players ahead of the cup final.
But that's the thing for Stuart McCall, isn't it? He's got to, never mind to help his old manager or he's got to look for his old club.
Motherwell's first and foremost, and they've got a cup final coming up. Do you run the risk of playing a full strength team and say John Sutton gets an injury on Sunday and he's out for the final? He'll rest players, no question. He's already said that in the paper this week, and I don't think Rangers supporters should hold that against him. Should worst case scenario for them they slip up.
Exactly, he's got his priorities sorted. I think Stuart McCall with the cup final. I wouldn't blame him. I don't think anybody should blame him for resting players this weekend. He knows what's ahead of him. It's a dress rehearsal, but only in name. Really, I think that the Motherwell team won't reflect anything near the squad that will play in the cup final.
Yeah, Andy, looking then at Rangers, who does Kilmarnock have to watch?
That was Nikica Jelavic. The guy's been sensational. He's really stepped into the void left by Kenny Miller. The question was asked when he left, who's going to get the goals now for Rangers? Jelavic has done it time and time again. He's so many facets to his game. He's a first class striker, and in the papers today he's saying that Manchester United are interested in him, and to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if that's where he ends up. He's a top class footballer, and Rangers will struggle to keep a hold of him, and Scottish football will be poorer.
Let's look then at the sad news of Aberdeen captain Paul Hartley's retirement this week. Some statement from the Aberdeen website said, "Everyone at Pittodrie would like to thank Paul for his contribution over the past season, which has been excellent. We wish him all the very best for the future." Andy, it looks like he'll be going into a coaching capacity.
I would like to think so. He's got a vast amount of experience to call upon. They haven't really had the most out of him this season, Aberdeen, with injuries and what have you, so I don't think they'll miss him in terms of his playing ability, because he's not played that often, but his experience and his knowledge of the game will be missed in the dressing room, and if he does indeed take a coaching role, it might kind of help with that loss on the park.
Yeah, Stephen, our colleague Andrew Southwick was speaking exclusively to Craig Brown this week on the website, And what Craig was saying is he was hoping to convince Paul Hartley to stay for one more year, but it just looks like Hartley's made himself. The legs have started to go.
I was going to say, yeah, I think he knows himself that it was time to call it a day. He's been slower this year, and like last year he's struggling to keep up with a lot of players, and he's injured, so I can't really blame him for his decision to retire, to be honest. But I think Aberdeen will miss the leadership he'll bring. It's going to be a very young squad next year. We've got, looking at Isaac Osborne from Coventry, they've got Joe Shaughnessy signed a 2-year deal, and I think he's only 19 or 20 years old.
Milsom as well, you know, I think, and Andy for Milsom, he will be a big miss. I know that boy's played at Fulham, but he's still in his early 20s, and Hartley and him seem to have a good kind of partnership going there, but obviously injury cut short the career and the season.
I think that's what will happen next season with Craig Brown, and most of the other teams in the SPL. Young players are the way forward now. There's no money in the game, and youth development has to be the main way forward for these clubs. And you can't have 11 young boys in the park. You need to have experience in and around the team, and players like Paul Hartley provide that experience for the managers.
Because during the week Aberdeen had 12 under-21 players in their squad, so it just kind of shows that Craig Brown's going to be giving the youth players a big chance next year.
Yeah, he's going to need to. He looks like he's going to be losing 1 or 2 experience here.
And he's been a terrific worker for Hearts. He's been one of the driving forces in their midfield. And I think it was just a shame that Aberdeen didn't really get the best out of him. They couldn't really take his potential as a leader in the squad.
Yeah, he did have that, and he will be sadly missed for Aberdeen. What now then for Craig Brown and Archie Knox? As I say, Andrew spoke exclusively to them this week, and it's on the website visittheweekend.net. But what do you think for Craig Brown and Archie Knox? What are you looking for next season?
It has to be a top 6 finish, I would say. Aberdeen 10th position at the moment is just not good enough, and as I say, St Mirren still cats, and they might finish 11th. Second bottom of the league for Aberdeen. I mean, that's going back to the days of Eddie Scovdale. It's just simply not on. And top 6 finish has to be the realistic ambition for Aberdeen. You know, small, one step at a time, and you know, it has to blood the youngsters, as you say, with 12 under 21 players in the squad on Tuesday night. So you know, it has to be looking to the future for Aberdeen. And you know, there's a few bright young talents there, and hopefully Craig Brown can get the best out of them.
Yep. I'd like to thank my guests. That's us for this week. We'll be back next week when we look back at the fixtures from this weekend as Rangers or Celtic will be crowned SPL champions, and we'll look ahead to the Scottish Cup final with Motherwell and Celtic next week. I'd like to thank my guests Andrew Devlin and Stephen Temlett. Remember to visit us www.theweighin.net, and also on Twitter and on Facebook. We'll be back next week. Thanks again for listening.
Would you agree with that, Andy? Top 6 finish next year, would you be happy with that? Every Scovdale, they came bottom.
Top 6 is an achievement.
He was top 6 in 2 semi-finals.
You want this just left on here, mate? Take your edit in here?
Every Scovdale came bottom, didn't he? And then they didn't get relegated to Falkirk Liverick Stadium.
Yeah, it would have been nice.
You want to keep that tape in case we do it for anything else?
I've got one.
There you go, that's the 3 of them saved.
I just add them up because I didn't bother. It's not really to add it out, is it?
I don't think so.
The Weekend Podcast, out singing the opposition.
Monday I'm either going to be buzzing.
For another week on the Weekend Podcast, we look back at events from Tynecastle that shaped Scottish football. Look ahead to the weekend's fixtures as Milford and battle it out for the SPL title. And we look at the career of Paul Hartley as he retires this week from Aberdeen.
When's
your driving test, Monday?
I'm saying I'll either be up there or there come Monday morning.
Hope you have your driving licence on Monday morning.
How do we stop this here?
Right, gents, man, right to crack away.
Aye, mate, aye, that one.
See you Monday, alright?
I'll see you Monday, alright.
Something.
Hope your team get pumped.